Greetings and salutations. It's your man CD, the fallen angel Christopher Daniels, and I'm currently at home in Southern California enjoying Southern California things. And one of the things out in Southern California that you can enjoy is the Circle of Debate podcast. They're out here in Southern California giving you guys quality entertainment to listen to. So give them a listen. Tell them Christopher Daniels sent you. Enjoy the show.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Circle of Debate podcast. The host of Devious One Ivan C here alongside with my brothers from the other mothers, my co-host, the CK1, that should have been him, as Chris Kennedy. And then we also had the Mad Hatter, the Steamboats, the Seidels, the Murphys. He is the, what the heck?
Carbonation Cabron.
Carbonation Cabron. That is
Carbonation Cabron.
Matthew Steamboat. And today we have a special honorary guest this evening tonight, which I am glad that we got him on, because I love this tag team. I'm not gonna lie, I do. Okay, and he is one of the half of 4 Minute Heat, and also the longest reigning DEFY World Tag Team Champion, and that is the Rock God himself. That is how are you, Mr.
I am doing phenomenal. That intro for me made me feel really warm and fuzzy inside. It feels great. It's great to be the longest reigning DEFY Tag Team Champion, and I'm positive that we also have the least title defenses in DEFY Tag Team title history. So there's that. But
you know what? It's quality. It's quality of the defense, not the title.
It's quality. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Our first title defense, and I'm pretty sure our only, I might be wrong, but I think our only title defense was against La Bestia 666.
Yes.
In a no rules match. So I don't know, man. I'll take it. Longest reigning DEFY Tag Team Champion.
Exactly. And the future championship from Hollywood Tag Team Champions. That's what I see happening. Sorry, Andy. I know that you do watch the show, but I'm sorry, Andy. I got to give it to my boys, man. They SoCal distancing, it's enough for the damn tag titles. It's time for 4 Minute Heat to take it from you.
Exactly. And I know Eddie couldn't be here, and I don't have an action figure to represent Eddie, but I do have a Ricky Gibson action figure.
There you go.
So we'll pretend that this is Eddie sitting here next to me. He doesn't talk much, but we'll just pretend.
I love it. The freak nasty. That's right. So, all right, let's go ahead and get the start off so we get our viewers and obviously our audiences to get to know you more. So let's ask you, Mr. Gibson, how did it all begin for your life of pro wrestling? How did it begin?
Yeah, I've told the story many times, and I'll skip to the fun part. So I started watching when I was super young. I was probably like 6 or 7 years old, and I was hooked, absolutely hooked. By the time I could use the computer, I was searching for wrestling schools. I was looking up wrestling content. I'll never forget asking, sitting in the computer room. My sister is in the living room, and I'd yell, "How do you spell wrestling again?" So I could type it out and search wrestling. And man, I live in Oregon, born and raised in Oregon, and Oregon has been a dead period for wrestling because of the state commission. They wouldn't allow wrestling in any form or fashion. So the big companies wouldn't come here. No small company would be here because they couldn't. And it wasn't until I turned 15 where finally wrestling started to come back to Oregon. And I went to a Portland wrestling taping. And Portland wrestling has been around for a long time, except this brief hiatus in like the time that I really wanted it to be here. And I met the right people. I was actually doing web design for one of the referees, and he's like, "Hey, there's a school right down the road for me." And for me, it was about an hour, but for him, it was 10 minutes down the road. And he hooked me up. I started training there at the age of 16. And man, at the time, it was 6 days a week on Sundays. The only reason we didn't train is because the guy ran a church out of the gym. But I was still in high school, so I'd go to school all day. Me and my buddy would leave school, immediately drive out to Hillsboro, train for 4 or 5 hours, drive home. If I had homework, I'd finish up my homework real fast and go to bed and right back to it the next day. And it was, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
Nice.
That's
You
awesome.
mentioned the regulations. It was in Oregon that wouldn't allow any kind of pro wrestling at all, right?
Yeah, I don't know. There was probably some way they could get around it, but every single wrestler had to be licensed, just like a boxer or an MMA fighter would.
Okay.
And the fees were so high that no one did anything. I don't know exactly what they were because it was before my time,
Right.
but I know that like WWE wouldn't even run here. Like they had a 10-year period where they didn't run in Oregon because it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, that's like a commission thing. I mean, you could probably narrow that down to maybe being just like liabilities or injuries or.
Oh yeah,
just being
absolutely.
cleared.
And there
Oh.
still is a commission in Oregon, and it's one of the stricter commissions in that I know of. California is super free and relaxed, and you can pretty much do anything there. But in Oregon, every promoter has to be licensed for every city that they run in. So if you run in 3 different cities, you have to be licensed in 3 different cities.
Yeah.
Which is good, but then the downside is you have to pay like a 6% fee to the commission, even though they do nothing. Like they don't show up, they don't manage anything. They literally just collect money for the show, and it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. California was like that with MMA up until about 8 years ago.
Oh yeah.
It was super strict. I mean, they're obviously the WEC cage, King of the Cage. Those had to go to Indian reservations, like in Lompoc and Bakersfield, and so I can imagine just that up in Oregon having to fight a smaller commission with stricter rules to get pro wrestling over had to have been a harder battle. Did they finally separate, I guess we could say, as a shoot, sports from sports entertainment? Was it a lot like MMA in New York, or did people just start to pay these fees to get it over?
I think the commission just totally loosened up because it's still the same commission to go through for MMA and boxing as it is for wrestling. So,
but the rules
clearly changed, yeah, because no wrestler has to be licensed anymore. They require blood work, but they're super relaxed about it. So they never actually come and ask for your blood work. They just say you have to. But it's smart to get done anyway. But there's no one there to actually verify it.
Yeah, and you said that it was obviously before your time when these laws passed. But do you know of experience of people maybe just telling stories in your circle of when those reins were loosened? Things just exploded with like indie companies, training facilities. Did it just explode all over the state?
I was pretty much around at that point when they opened up. So Portland Wrestling, I swear the weekend that they were allowed to run, they started running again. And there was a couple companies that were in Washington that came down and started doing stuff in Portland. And then the school that I was training at eventually was just boxing, but then when he could do wrestling, he started doing wrestling again.
Oh, okay. That's
This question goes to like you at your beginning though, especially like with your name. I'm definitely know that you're aware of the Rock and Roll Express and then Robert Gibson, and then he has a brother, Ricky Gibson, from his early days.
Yeah.
You know, you having the same name as him, was there like confusion or thought of changing your name? Because like Richard or Ricky Gibson's like I believe, you know, your real name, and you know there was, you know, I mean he's a little bit more obscure, but I mean Robert Gibson's brother, and also second half of the question, do the Rock and Roll Express play like a big, you know, influence on you, you know?
I mean, first of all, I love the Rock and Roll Express. Huge fan. Not necessarily when I was first growing up, but like once I got into wrestling, that's the tag team that I would watch.
Yeah.
So super influenced by them. We actually had a tag match scheduled against them last year.
Woo!
So
What?
yeah, it was supposed to be
Robert
Big Show
Gibson
Portland
versus Ricky Gibson. Wow.
I know, yeah.
For the name, name versus
that
name.
was the
First
stipulation.
That was a dream match right there.
Oh, dude, for sure. I actually called Ricky Morton and I was like, "Hey, this is Ricky." He's like, "This is Ricky." I was like, "Oh, no, this is awkward." But yeah, we were supposed to have a match, but they had a New Japan thing come up, and so things got switched around. But I'm still eager to have that match at some point. But to answer your question, no, I never really thought about changing my name. I just ran with it. It's just one of those things. Like,
is the whole rock and roll thing, that's all just a coincidence? You had a good idea, it parallels their good idea.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
and Robert's brother Ricky Gibson's a little bit more obscure. Like he's not as like, you know, I mean, he's not as well known as Ricky Morton, of course. So that's in there. And I guess how would you guys come across like the whole rock and roll gimmick, the whole, you know, 4 minutes of heat, the power ballad, you know, just the whole like.
Yeah, it went through a lot of phases actually. So I've been wrestling since I was 16, I started in 2004. So my first trainer, well, one of my first trainers was a big fan of the Rock and Roll Express and the Rockers and like that whole genre.
That's me. Yeah, the Rockers are your Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah, totally. But he was like, "Hey, you're young. You're like this baby face looking." I didn't have any facial hair. I looked super young. He's like, "You're a perfect rocker." And there was another guy that was starting at the same time, and so we were kind of put together as these rockers, and we went through many different phases of names. I was at one point
connection, rock and roll.
Yeah, exactly. There was Rock and Roll Fantasy because my trainer was a huge Bad Company fan, and so was I. Yeah, so we went Rock and Roll Fantasy. We came out to the music, and that was kind of our thing for a bit. And then I went solo, and that's where I came up with a power ballad because I watched the movie Rock of Ages. Anyone?
Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise. Yeah.
It's a bad movie. I'm really not a fan of musicals, but something about it was just phenomenal. So originally I was doing the Tom Cruise, like super relaxed, super lackadaisical, didn't give a shit. Like I came out and, my boots weren't tied yet, so I tie them before I get in the ring. And like I would tell the guy to turn the music down, so I'd go out with really quiet music and be like, "Guys, I have a hangover, just chill." And of course, everyone gets loud and yells.
I'm screaming on the inside of how clever that is. I love that.
It was so much fun.
The only thing I ever used to do in my short term was I'd check the ref. So, like, when the ref is supposed to pat you down, I would pat him down. And that's the only original thought I ever had. So I'm already blown away by what you just said. So I need to find all that footage.
It's out there somewhere. I think it was uploaded to Pivot Share, like the same guys that do like DEFY's streaming before IWTV. Anyway, so that's like I started doing a lot of the stuff with the power ballad was originally just a singles move. Have the guy on the shoulder, throw him down on his neck there. Eddie came along 2016 where he started training down at the school that I was training people at. And it was just one of like, he was a natural, like instantly started picking up on stuff, like had the right emotional intelligence for wrestling. So nothing bothered him when people gave him criticism. He was like, "Yep, cool, I'm on it." Like he fixed it. He had the drive, the heart, like it was incredible to see. And it reminded me a lot of myself when I first started. And then one day I got a text saying, "Hey, I need you to find a tag partner for a DOA show." And I was sitting right next to Eddie. He was like, "Hey, you're my new drummer." And he looked at me, he's like, "I don't know how to play the drums."
Undertaker doesn't really throw lightning.
Right? So I filled him in on how sometimes we fake stuff a little bit. So he did that. It was supposed to be a one-time thing, and it took off. Like I was traveling down to a show in California one day, and I was like, "Dude, hop in the car. You're going with me." He didn't have any like promise of a booking or anything. I just wanted him to get that travel experience, and he brought his gear, and they wound up putting him on a show, and it took off since then. Like we're pretty much inseparable.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So speaking of DOA, so that's where you first began to train. Were there were there the first promotion in Oregon at that time, or there were other promotions beginning?
Yeah, so the first company that I wrestled for in Oregon that wasn't my school, but the school did shows. But the first company I wrestled for was Portland Wrestling, ran by Frank Culbertson.
Okay.
After Portland Wrestling, I went to PMPW, Pacific Northwest Pro Wrestling, or something like that. and there was a couple variations there. Then there was one called BAW that didn't have an actual name, maybe Badass Wrestling. We all joked around. We had no idea. But that was that was one of the other ones. And then West Coast Wrestling Connection. And then I started wrestling for DOA Pro Wrestling. And they've been around now for 12 or 13 years. But that's kind of where like I made my home in Portland for sure.
That's awesome. And right now for DOA, you're the head booker, right? Or the teacher, right?
So we don't have a school anymore because they were running out of a building that is no longer available to us. But the head booker. So I don't like to say the booker because I really just like find the right people that want to be there, and we throw matches together. Super, super relaxed and super simple. But yeah, I took over because another guy just didn't have the free time to do it anymore. And it takes a lot of work to coordinate and organize and then reorganize when everything falls through and all the plans fail. But yeah, that's currently where I am right now.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome.
We were talking a little before we warmed up here about your tag team career. Have you primarily been in the tag team division? Is that a style that you're comfortable with, or do you go where you're told, or is any of this up to you?
I go where I'm told for the most part. When I first started, I did a lot of singles and then almost instantly turned into tag team stuff. And there's this big joke at DOA that I've literally tagged with everyone on the roster. Like I think I've been tag champion for DOA with 5 different tag partners. And then at West Coast Wrestling Connection, I went through like 3 or 4 different tag partners. I prefer tag team wrestling. Like there's just something fun about it. And I think it's more difficult because you have 4 minds putting everything together instead of just 2.
Right.
I enjoy either way. Like I've had runs, WCWC, I was a legacy champion for quite a while. At DOA, I was the pure champion for quite a while.
I see that the Lightning division.
Yeah,
also.
Previous to that, Lightning divisions. So I'm comfortable with both, and I'm totally cool doing either one. But after I met Eddie and we started going that path, that's where our goals are aligned in just tag team wrestling.
And is that the tag champ current with you? Is that your partner that's –
Yeah, Eddie Pro.
We're talking about your very lucrative and legacy – you have a legacy title reign going on right now.
Which is not true. I don't know why that still says that. Like I lost that probably 2 years ago, but
okay. No, what I meant was currently the longest reigning. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Which may or may not be for reasons that are obvious. Is that because no one's defending titles because of the global the bastard right now?
Yeah, DEFY has not been able to run shows. They've tried a couple times, like without crowds, and Washington State is very strict right now, and they're not letting anything happen. Same thing with Oregon. There's no shows in Oregon or Washington.
Even crowdless.
Even crowdless. Washington, okay. You're probably going to start to get some that were maybe illegally ran.
I don't know
wait, we don't know what's going on.
This is not live.
No, it's not.
No. You're totally okay to post this. There's a company that is recording shows that isn't going through the commission, but it's totally cool because they're TV production rather than wrestling shows. So there's some sort of loophole there.
Kind of like other industries that are okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it.
But you're gonna see a DEFY tag team title defense here coming up shortly. I can't tell you when or where or why, but you'll see one soon.
You know where to announce that then. So let us know when you're allowed to tell us, and we
got it.
The world know with you on air.
Oh, definitely. That'll be all over the social media platforms in Arts Center.
You got it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Go ahead, Matt. You're next.
So I guess like another one would be like, you had recently Eddie Van Halen passed away, and I actually watched that match you had with what was it, beef muscles, chocolate candy, beef muscle candy. Chocolate beef muscles.
Chocolate beef muscle candy.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take. Much love to you guys. I'm sorry I can't remember your name. You guys are great.
No, that's totally. Yeah. So it was Beef Candy, Richie Slade, and Ricky Mandel, which are 2 absolutely phenomenal wrestlers. singles. I think that might have been the first time they ever tagged together. Like they've been together for a while, like as a group, but I don't think they've tagged together. But the guys are absolutely incredible in their prime right now. I was super excited to be able to go up against them. And yeah, so like literally that day we're sitting there recording like the promos and stuff for the pre-show for Primetime Live. And someone broke the news like, oh man, Eddie Van Halen just died. And, you know, obviously we're fans of Eddie Van Halen, and like it was just an easy, like it's super easy to dedicate this match going into it, like on the same day, like literally just hours before the show. So yeah, it was cool. It meant a lot. I'm sure other people have done tributes that mean a lot more, but it was cool to put a little bit of something on that.
I mean, whether or not the world gets to share that with you, everything means something.
Yeah.
Because obviously, as a musician myself, Eddie was the first shredder. I was like, I want to learn how to do some of that.
Right.
So it was just like, I mean, my dad got me like old VHS tapes of this dude, Kurt Mitchell, which was basically VHS tapes before your time. There were these little cassettes that you would put into a device. It was kind of like YouTube, but you had to go and buy them. And yeah, that came full circle for me as well, was just seeing all the pro wrestling. I mean, we know that bigger names in the pro wrestling industry definitely paid their tributes the best they could. So it's
Everybody did.
Yeah, it's appreciated from every avenue.
Favorite song.
Yeah. Favorite VH song.
No. Ask him.
I'm asking Ricky. Favorite song. Favorite Eddie Van Halen song.
Right.
Oh.
Yes, tough one, right?
Yeah, I couldn't limit it to one. Yeah.
Just say Panama. Just say Panama.
Yeah, yes, probably, but that seems like such the easy one.
Yeah.
You want to sound like a fan and
Just
not
say
say
Unchained.
generic.
Just say Unchained. It's okay.
Yeah,
Nah.
Unchained isn't up on. Yeah, that's more on my style right there. Unchained and Cradle Rock, like the really darker ones. Those are the shit.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: So when you and Eddie actually formed a tag team, how did the 4 Minute Heat name came about? How did all of that begin?
So some background story. I don't know. I'll explain this because you probably have some people that are watching that don't know. In wrestling, the behind the scenes term heat means when the bad guys are in charge of the match. The shine is when the good guys are in charge of the match. So the joke of 4 minutes of heat is there's 4 minutes where the bad guy is in charge of the match. Anyway, so rewind back to my days in Paragon Pro Wrestling. D'Lo Brown, Sin Bodhi, Matt Stryker were the agents for Paragon Pro Wrestling. And I had just come in, and they were trying to find something cool and different for me. And so I was trying to come out there and do a concert. And you can find this on YouTube if you search Paragon Pro Wrestling or Rock God. But I would come out and I would try to play my new debut song. It was supposed to be the biggest concert in Las Vegas history. And I was just trying to play the song called 7 Minutes of Shine. But every time I just went to, hit the guitar, someone else's music would play and they'd interrupt me and beat me up.
It's like you're like this. You're like, oh.
It was literally timed where and I took my sweet time, tuning up the microphone and adjusting the seat and everything. But right before I hit the string, the lights would go and the music would play. And I got interrupted by guys like Gangrel and Scorpio Sky and Jesse Sorensen and a bunch of other guys that were wrestling on Paragon. It was pretty much the most fun I've ever had in wrestling in the singles career, because my segment was like 10 to 15 minutes, but my actual match was really like 3 minutes long, and it was super easy. And I was wrestling some of the best in the world. And it was this running joke backstage. They're like, man, I just want to wrestle Ricky Gibson. It's the easiest match of the night. Anyway, so to tell the whole story, when we needed a tag team name, it was just the easy opposite. We were the bad guys. So instead of 7 minutes of shine, we were 4 minutes of heat. And again, it was supposed to be like this one-off thing where we just one time wrestle as this tag team, and it just took off.
I love it though, man. You guys are a really great tag team. You and Eddie. Wow, man.
Thank you.
I love it very much, and especially your moments you guys had at DEFY. And I'm glad that you guys are now, coming back now to, LA, basically up there in championship, wrestling for Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you guys are, back on. And let me ask you another question. I know that obviously the crowd difference from here to LA to Portland fans. What's the difference? I mean, I don't know if you competed before the whole global pandemic occurred.
Yeah.
But how was the scenery, compared to Portland fans and LA fans? How different is it like?
Yeah, it's weird. There's different types of fans based on the different types of shows. So Portland, at Doa Pro Wrestling, the fans are normally pretty chill. They clap, they get excited, but when there's downtime, they're quiet. Yeah. And I find that very similar with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Yes. I've also wrestled for SPW down in Sacramento, so a little bit north from you guys. There was man, I'm spacing on the name right now, but there's a company out in Fresno that we wrestled for that was pretty similar. Like when the exciting stuff is happening, it's exciting, but then anything in between. But there's two companies that I wrestle for that is nonstop, and that's DEFY and Hood Slam. There is not a quiet time during that entire show. People are on their feet. They're throwing money in the ring for us. They're cheering.
I know where I need to go.
I was about to say.
It's incredible. Before Hood Slam, I'd never seen that before. And you would do something in the ring that was spectacular or big, and people would just start throwing 20s in the ring like you're a stripper or something.
Oh yeah.
And the first time it happened, I was like, dude, someone dropped a $20 bill. Like, who's doing this? And then they're like, oh, yeah, they just throw money at us. And then we go to the back and we split it. And it's the most incredible thing in the world.
That's the beauty.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, you first.
Oh, I was going to say at Hood Slam, they serve drinks, and you're not supposed to, but everyone smokes weed there. So everyone is on cloud nine, super, super high, excited to be there. There's no one there that is judging wrestling. Like, they're not there to be like, oh, that they botched that spot. No one cares. It's just about having fun. I'm convinced that 90% of the people there aren't even wrestling fans. They just want to be entertained for a minute and maybe look at some impressive looking people. Where DEFY, on the other hand, is also very exciting, and depending on the venue, they serve drinks too. But that is more of your hardcore indie fan, like think PWG and like old school Ring of Honor and New Japan, like that intense wrestling fan. But you have the same level of intensity from the crowd. Like they either love you or hate you, and they'll let you know. And it's fun.
You are absolutely answering my question right now, because what I was going to ask is, in our SoCal scene, which is run basically by PWG, essentially, where every name that any even casuals know now has run through PWG. Yeah. And this is with all due respect to fans who aren't like this, but to the fans that are like this, there is a big waiting to be impressed vibe I get when I go to bigger indie shows like that, having rolled with a lot of those guys back in the day. Do you find that is more of a SoCal thing? Is that an indie thing, or is that just is there a method to where those types of fans end up going? Where people, it's like when you're in a band and you're just waiting to go on, and you're just watching other people, and you're not really like trying to be entertained. You're just judging the whole time.
I think it's not necessarily the city. I think it is the fan base. And I couldn't tell you what attracts it more than another. Like DEFY has ran in Portland a couple times and have the same audience that they do in Seattle, like that intense, highly entertained, like very loud crowd. And then 3 blocks down the street, a different company runs, and it's kind of like not that they're not entertained, but they're more of a casual fan, and they're more like, oh, that was cool, and then they're done.
Almost jaded or spoiled with
maybe.
I mean, that's the vibe I pick up from my only experience is down here. And there is a whole lot of, when I wrestled, there was that, like, you're not as good as that guy who we're here to see, so we're just going to wait for him. It's a lot like going to see a headlining band and just kind of bullshitting your way through the opening acts.
Yeah, and a lot of people, a lot of wrestlers like don't like that, or they like argue back with those fans in a negative aspect. I take it as a challenge. Like it's tough, but I'm not the most athletic guy. You've seen me in the ring. I'm not the most athletic guy. I'm not doing moonsaults and 450s. But I challenge myself to be more entertaining and draw in the audience more. So if I can't do the shooting star press that the guy before me did or the guy after me is going to do, I'm going to do what I can do to draw them in. And I mean, everyone has their opinion, just like a movie. Like you're not going to get everyone entertained by the same type of movie. So you do your best to go out there and have fun, and they have the right to their opinion, and I have the right to mine. So
I appreciate storytelling in the ring. I appreciate spot fests in the ring.
Yeah.
If someone can do both of them in the same, if I care why they did that shooting star press, I'm all about it. If they're just flippity dippiting because they just practice at home all day long and that's just the whole match, I can't do that. And that's cool and all, but I want to hear that story. I don't want like with Van Halen, he would shred, but he would tell a story. It's the same thing with pro wrestling. I want to know the why you have 4 minutes of heat. Why am I rooting for you to get your ass kicked? Or why do I love when I see you come out of the ring? That part of pro wrestling is what I think most fans who grew up as little kids got them into it. They were rooting for something or cheering against something. They didn't care that Hogan only had 3 moves. Roman Reigns has 3 moves. He's over like Rover. So to me, it's
to some, not all. To some, not to none.
Yeah, but like look at movies too. Like there are movies that are highly entertaining action
Fast and
movies.
Furious. I think Ivan loves the Fast and the Furious movies. I love Fight Club.
I love Fight Club, bro.
I know. I'm throwing examples.
Yeah, there's some movies that tell a great story and have action built in, and there's the movies that tell no story, but the action is so good, it's like, fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah,
like, that's fun.
You go into those knowing that that's what you're getting. And I feel
exactly.
A lot of pro wrestling fans, I mean, there's so many indie wrestlers that you're not going to know everybody's everything. I'm not going to go to an indie show and know this entire backstory behind this guy versus that guy.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm going to be entertained. So I'm not sitting there just waiting. Like I said, waiting to be impressed. Attitude is just, it's unfortunate. It is what it is. They paid their ticket. The wrestlers got paid with that money. Hopefully that's a different list. So yeah, I can appreciate that you put a lot of character behind what you do, knowing that you think you have a limited moveset. I don't think so. I think you're fantastic.
I love it because I love how you and Eddie are very how you guys clear the chemistry and how you guys impact those moves is like shit. I'm intrigued. So that's how I became a fan of your work, because just by seeing how you guys collaborate, and just you don't even have to make a basic movie can make it very impactful, and it's like, oh shit, I love it. Like that's just I'm more like the old school 80s era, and modern day wrestling I respect it, but there's certain areas that I don't, because it's like, oh, okay, like how he said, like how Chris said about the flipping. You have to sell me the story, and that's what I love about you guys. 4 Minute Heat, you guys tell the story. You guys tell the story, and that's what I'm amazed by it, and I love it. And I really appreciate.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Matthew, I know you have a question.
I think in that one match I saw of you guys so far, I think that was the first time I ever saw like a manager advocate who's like bigger than the team that he's like. It's usually like a smaller guy or somebody who isn't muscular, but that was just so different seeing that. And then I believe you guys were working babyface in that match. That's how it appeared to me, you know. So the name 4 Minutes of Heat, I was like, oh yeah, heel. I hear the word heat, but then I see you guys working in that match, and then it's like a way different story. And I just thought the Power Ballad was so cool to see. But
yeah, thank you.
I love it, man. I love it. But let me ask another question. So how did it came about with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood? How did that came about? How did
well, that's a long way from Oregon.
Well, it is a long way from Oregon. So we're really good friends with Zicky Dice, who last year was doing a lot of Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. He had just started with NWA. And we were going down for a show in East Bay. And I texted him, I was like, hey, man, we're going to be down. Like, let's hang out for a little bit. He's like, dude, championship from Hollywood is the next day. You got to be there. I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it, man. He made a phone call, and we got in there, and we had an absolute blast. But we drove from so Friday night we were in Washington. We drove overnight down to the show on Saturday. No hotel. We actually stopped at Crunch Fitness to shower, just so we would shower before we got to the next show.
That's the line right there.
Yeah, so we wrestled Friday night. We wrestled Saturday night at East Bay. We stayed at Zicky's like for an hour, enough to shower, sleep for an hour, and then down to Hollywood, and then from Hollywood back to Zicky's, and then back up to Portland the same night. It was insane. So needless to say, we were super tired that day at Hollywood, but we had such a blast. And and that was actually their last show before COVID shut everything down.
Yeah.
And then, they brought us back, and dude, I love it. It's one of my new favorite places to wrestle. And I'm not just saying that because they're using us right now, but like, I legitimately love the crowd there. I love not the crowd, but the group of people there. I love how serious and professional they take it. Like, it can be fun to be at a show that's super relaxed and, anything goes and just do your thing.
Yeah.
But when they take the professionalism to just the right level where it's not too strict, but it's like you're not going to have people goofing around and screwing around before the show. Like, you're going to be able to take it serious, and I love it.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
obviously, the production, the setting up the venue, the backstage, the getting people in a position, that whole method, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I'm a good friend of Ray Rosa, so I love Ray, so he knows me because I work at a bar, like my other part-time job, so he'll come in, here and there, he'll come into the bar, so I'm very close with him and Peter Avalon. I know Andy too, so we barely talk, but we did have a recent interview with David Marquez, so he did explain how the whole concept, how the whole production, especially in Championship Wrestling for Hollywood, and I love how he's doing it, and he's doing a phenomenal job for it, and we're big supportive fans of it because we here as a podcast, we pretty much want help promote the indie pro wrestling scene more and be more exposed because we've been seeing a lot. I mean, no pun intended, like hating on the East Coast, but you see that a lot more compared to SoCal, like the West Coast.
Yeah, it is still tight. I mean,
it's still tight.
It's locked up like a fucking jail. It's really
yeah. But I'm glad, even though that there's no fan, no crowd base, but at least you guys are doing it on prime time, and we're able to see all, us, and also the viewers can see you guys there as well at prime time. So I'm really glad that you're actually back on TV, and I just need you with the belt, man. I need you and Eddie win those tag team belts. That's what I need. Too. Sorry, SoCal.
Babyface is chasing the belt. Babyface is chasing the belt.
Why not?
I was going to ask this. What's probably the most violent match you've been in up to this point, either singles or tag?
A couple come to mind, and actually one really comes to mind because my wife will never let me forget it. It was
they just don't. My mom. I was wrestling when I was 16, and my mom was my biggest fan. So very similar.
My mom is my biggest anti-fan. She hates that I'm a wrestler. Like, she's like kind of proud of me, I guess, but she hates that I'm a wrestler. Anyway, so I had just turned 18 years old. I was tagging with one of my best friends at the time, my roommate. You guys might know him. He used to go by Dante. Now it's CJ Kirsch down in Sacramento. So him and I tagged together. Yeah, and we tagged against the team called the Blanchard Brothers that are really just known up here in Portland. But Jeremy Blanchard was my trainer and like my biggest supporter. The four of us wrestled in a non-sanctioned lights out match on a show for BAW. And it was after New Jack wrestled someone, I can't remember. So it was a hardcore match after New Jack wrestled. And so in our minds, we're like, well, we got to top this. And everything you can think of, we had barbed wire, we had light tube. It wasn't a death match. Like, there wasn't 50 light tubes. It was 2 light tubes, but chairs. I there was Bubba Blanchard is an idiot, and I love him, but I hate him. But he made a cat of nine tails of barbed wire like this long.
Oh shit!
So 9 strands of barbed wire duct taped together, and getting hit with barbed wire sucks because it pokes you. But when it's also very heavy and it smacks against you, that hurts more. But then when he pulls it back to whip you again, and the barbs rip at your back, it was the worst pain I've ever been through in my life. And I hit my trainer once with it, and he said, "Fuck you, get that thing away from me." And then Bubba grabbed it and whipped me like 10 times with it. And he called me the next day to apologize. He's like, "I just talked to my brother, and he said that he only took one, so I'm really sorry." But what made the match the most memorable and the worst is I was bleeding all over from the front of my head and the back of my head. But we went up, and you can actually find this on YouTube if you have some time. We went up on this platform that was like 12 feet high, and it was in an armory, so concrete floors. Bubba had me up on his shoulder, and he was supposed to sit down and like lay my head on his lap as he went through the 2 tables into the concrete, but he couldn't adjust his legs. So instead, he just fell on top of me, power slammed me. The tables shot like butter, and then just smack on the concrete. I don't remember it. I don't remember. I remember walking, like I remember parts of walking to the back. And then the funniest thing in the world to me was I remember sitting in the back, and my, at the time, girlfriend, but now wife, was taking off my boots, worried sick about me, and looking straight forward, and Al Snow was sitting there. He's like, and she was, "Are you okay?" and everything. And I was like, he'll be fine. So pretty bad concussion. Got a couple scars in my head from it, but that's like the worst altogether match.
It was like it was all hard way. No.
It was all bad.
Especially if you got a top U jack. I mean, shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
I wouldn't even. I'm just not. You'd have to die. I mean, you don't. I've seen New Jack try to legitimately kill a man in person.
Yeah.
And
if it was New Jack and Terry Funk, you'd be a ghost right now. We'd be interviewing.
Of course. Earlier, you mentioned that you were inspired or get some ideas from Rock of Ages for things that you do. Like, I really love that intro you talked about where you kept trying to get ready to play. Yeah. Do you watch rock movies or music videos, or is there anything you look for inspiration, or is it just shower thoughts that come to you?
Mostly shower thoughts. Eddie and I are really good at balancing each other out. So we have ideas that, and everyone has them, where you have an idea, but you haven't quite figured it out yet. So we're really good about, hey, we just shout it out. Like, this is what I'm thinking. And then we'll workshop it until it actually makes sense, or it's actually good. Or, hey, that's terrible, throw it away, start over.
Or it's so bad it's good, which I love. I'm into that.
Or it's so bad it's good. That happens too.
Al Snow was so bad it was good. I loved it. No one saw him getting over it ever.
Right? So I don't think there's anything in particular that I watch for inspiration other than Rock of Ages. I knew that that's the character that I wanted, so I watched that 3 or 4 different times to like really understand it and get inspired from it. Other than that, dude, I'm inspired from so many things, like whether it's a promo or like doing something in the ring or the way we carry ourselves. Inspiration can come from anywhere. And so just being able to like take notes, obviously I have my cell phone on me all the time, and I just have a list of notes of like just bullet points, something I might say in a promo or an idea that I might have. And we go from there. And obviously we're in long car rides together, and we just start bouncing ideas off each other.
And that translates also into your moveset, whether it's like singles movesets, tag team movesets. You obviously have the Power Ballad, which we know is a huge 80s throwback style a name. Is your moveset, do you try to directly connect rock and roll to the moves itself, or do you come up with a move and try to find the name?
In every situation, we've had the move first. So I had the Power Ballad was actually a singles move first, and then we added the Eddie's like swinging neck breaker through there.
Okay.
We do another move that we call the jam session, which is the World's Greatest Tag Team, right? Yeah.
Gotcha.
World's Greatest Tag Team used to do, like, they put the guy's foot on the shoulders, guys draped over the ropes, leapfrog over.
Yep.
So we did that and then called it the jam session. And then the only other move that we do is called the backstabbeth. And that's the one where I do the sunset flip. He does a Russian leg sweep onto my knees.
Oh my God.
It is consistently like the most over move that we have. People talk about it all the time.
I love it though. I love it.
I could write so many finishing signature names for you guys. Like, I would love just someday. Right now, I'm just like, if
The
I
drop
have that
D, the
the
drop
drop
D.
D, the feedback, dude, the mosh.
Oh, yeah.
The mosh pit stage driver taken. Don't
The high gain
the high gain
torsion pedal.
dude.
And I don't think anyone's ever done the backstabbeth before. I'm pretty sure that we're the first ever.
I believe you guys are.
Yeah.
It'll probably be stolen soon because pretty much everyone we've ever wrestled said, yeah, we're going to do it. So we'll see. But we actually didn't have a name for the move, and we posted on Twitter. We just said, hey, name this move. We'll give you a free pin. And a guy came up with backstabbeth like instantly.
That's so
I
good.
love
And it's
it.
genius.
That is genius. I love it. I love it. Now,
Maybe the cutoff before it could be the Paranoid or the Iron Man.
Exactly.
Well, that could be their match. They could, have their own Iron Man match, some tag team Iron Man match gimmick or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not a booker for a reason, so.
oh man, I would book them in dream matches. But speaking of dream matches, I would love to know, like, you and Eddie, what would you guys' dream match would be, and what pretty much what promotion, and this follow-up question. My apologies. The follow-up question is, how do you obviously you see every promotion right now, like I'm talking about the big one, like WWE, AEW, NXT, New Japan, Ring of Honor. What do you feel? What promotion do you feel that you and Eddie are more suitable for? And a prior question, dream match. Who would tag team would you like to face?
Dream match for us is until it happens is going to be Rock and Roll Express. Like we both talked about that forever.
Use the super kick. That seems to work.
Right.
That seems to shut down.
Rock and Roll Express, I think, is the best dream match that is also very possible. Like, of course, there's other matches that we'd love to have in their prime, but the Rock and Roll Express one could happen. As far as like current day, there are so many tag teams that we'd love to mix it up with that I couldn't even narrow it down to a couple. So I'm going to avoid that question. As far as companies that we'd like to work for, I believe that Eddie and I are flexible enough to adjust for whatever. For example, when we go to Hood Slam to wrestle, we're not doing the same stuff we do at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood or DEFY. We're a lot more goofy because that's what's needed. So what you see at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, I think would most easily translate to like the NWA or Impact Wrestling. Yes. But then what you see at DEFY, you could probably translate more towards AEW or WWE. Like, I think those are great possibilities. And I feel confident that we would just mix in and mesh well with whatever we need to do, because that's what we want to do, man. This is our goal. This is our livelihood, and we are both so dedicated and programmed to. This is what we're doing with our life. Like, every single day we talk to each other about getting better and improving and learning more and getting in there more and doing more with wrestling. So. I'd hate to alienate a company by saying I'd rather work for one than the other, but I would definitely say that, like, I think you could see an easy tie-in with anything, just depending on where we normally wrestle.
Absolutely, agree with that 100%. Because hopefully you get a phone call, you and Eddie, one day, and there's you never know, and obviously they'll be watching the programming, obviously. Which with PRIMETIME, so hopefully you get a call from either one promotion, and I wish you guys the best, and I hope you guys get that big break because you guys deserve it. That's just me, straight. You guys straight deserve it. You guys work your asses off, from the beginning. Why not? And plus we need tag teams like 4 Minute Heat. Damn it, we need tag teams like that. That's what we need, and that's what we need. one last question I would like to ask. Any funny stories?
Always.
Always.
Yeah.
I had to put.
You have one on lock. I know you do. It's probably right there.
I do, because it came up before we started recording. I have so many funny stories, and I've told a ton of them before, but I don't think I've ever told this story before. So exclusive. So I'll start off by maybe spoiling a surprise that I've never said out loud to a group of people. I don't know how to play guitar. I lied. I'm so sorry. Everyone's face is like shocked.
We'll give you one.
So I went out and I went to Guitar Center and I bought the cheapest guitar that they had that actually looked good. 'Cause, you know, they have some, you know, kids guitars or whatever. But I bought that. I had my friend customize it by painting on it and like made it look really good.
That's the one that I see in your wiki. You have a wiki bio here. It's where'd it go? It's like green or something like that. Or?
Probably blue and says the Rock God on it.
Yeah.
So that one, its name is her name is Janice. And
that's
at one
an
point,
Epiphone. I love that. That's the LP100. I know exactly what that is.
my wife was convinced at one point that I loved my guitar more than her, which was not true. She was just worked really well by wrestling. So I bought this guitar, I customized it, and since that day, the only people that didn't know that knew that I didn't know how to play guitar were my wife and the producer for the show. Everyone else, I just said, yeah, I absolutely play guitar. I'm just never going to play it here. Anyway, so I didn't know anything about guitars, so I knew it was an Epiphone, but only because I bought it and they told me it was an Epiphone. But I was traveling to Vegas. The second time I went to Vegas for Paragon Pro Wrestling, I had the guitar on my shoulder as I'm checking in through the airport, and I had like 5 things in my hand, and I'm trying to balance everything. And so as I'm sitting here, like I have the guitar over here, trying not to have it fall, and I go to scan my phone on the thing, and I scan it once and it doesn't work. So I lean over, and as I did, the guitar swung and hit the lady right in the face.
Oh shit!
That's
and I thought I was gonna get arrested or something, but she was like, "It's fine, just scan the ticket and go." And like 2 minutes later, I'm boarding the plane, and I'm, of course, accidentally bumping everyone with the guitar because I have no idea how to hold this thing. I'm bumping everyone with the guitar, and then some guy's like, "Oh, nice. What kind of guitar do you have?" I was like, "It's custom Gibson. I don't know."
You could cover the name on it and just say.
I could. That would be. It was in a case, so it's not like he could see it, and it's not like I had to lie to this guy anyway. I could have said, "I have no idea, dude," but I just decided to roll with it and just told him it was a custom Gibson guitar. So.
God. You got off wide.
It is. For those wondering, it is this guitar right here.
Yeah, that looks like it for sure.
It looks like it, most likely. Yeah. See, they're more guitar. I'm the drummer. I'm just a drummer.
Yeah, we're everybody on Circle Debate actually is a musician, so
nice. Eddie was my drummer for a minute, and when he debuted for the WCWC, they told him to be the drummer, and he wasn't my tag partner at the time. He was just like my manager, and one of the producers was a drummer. And after Eddie's first match out there and he was carrying the drumsticks, the guy came back. He's like, "You can never carry those again because everyone's going to instantly know that you have no idea how to drum."
Oh, man, I wish Eddie was around to give a funny story as well. Because but he's right there. Obviously, you got the toy. But there you go, Eddie. I hope he's watching this. I hope he does watch this. Another thing that I'm really inspired of what you also, what I've seen on your social media. I believe I see you were actually trying to teach. You want to go ahead and actually teach, have students and obviously teach them the role in professional wrestling. And I love that you're giving that inspiration. And I admire that a lot, 100%. I'm hoping that you get students very soon. So they want to, people, obviously the audience viewers, if you want to go ahead and learn professional wrestling, this is the Rock God. You can learn from himself. DM up on his social media platform, which you want to go ahead and tell him, Mr. Gibson, where can he find you?
Yeah, absolutely. If you search Ricky Gibson on any platform, you'll either find me or you'll find a really old 80s wrestler.
I found both.
Robert's brother.
So Rockin' Ricky G on Twitter or 4 Minutes of Heat on Twitter. The Rock God Ricky Gibson on Instagram and Ricky Gibson on Facebook. And yeah, as far as teaching goes, man, I've been an assistant trainer or just the guy that helps out for a long time, for several years. And what I noticed during this period of COVID, where there's no schools in Oregon or really Washington that are doing anything, there's a lot of guys that have started training but don't know where to go from here. And I'm not teaching anyone like how to get in there and how to bump and how to run the ropes and how to do moves, but more of how to stay motivated, how to stay active, how to do small things daily that build your habits and your rituals, so that when you do get in the ring, it's an easy transition back to being a professional wrestler again. A lot of guys that maybe back in April, May, June were like, I'm going to hang it up. Like, I've got nothing to do. I don't know what to do. I've started talking to them, and I have a handful of guys that are just more motivated than ever, just based on, a couple conversations a week, getting them their spirits up, getting them back on the right track, eating right or working out the right way, or just adding small things that they can work on without needing a ring. And it's been probably more impactful for me because I get to work with it's almost 30 different people now. And while I'm motivating them, dude, they're motivating me like hell. And it's been incredible. And I can't imagine doing anything different now because it's so much fun.
That is awesome, man. That is really awesome to hear. And I'm glad that you're, passing on the wisdom to these, to these other students. And man, I love to hear this type of shit because it gives a lot of, even us as well, even though I'm retired from the ring. No, not me. I'm done. I'm more doing podcasting, more other projects that I'm doing. But definitely, I'm hoping that the viewers as well look into that because, yeah, we need this pro wrestling alive, and I'm really grateful that you and Eddie are keeping the tag team division alive in the indie pro wrestling all over here West Coast, and hopefully see you guys, one day on AEW or NXT or New Japan. You never know. You never know. Never know. Well, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us, and thank you, Mr. Gibson, for joining us. Don't forget, tune in, see Forbidden Heat on PRIMETIME. If you know where PRIMETIME is, that's on FITE TV, and also any other different social media platforms, and also catch them on DEFY. Hopefully when they come back, when this global bullshit goes away, we could go back to normal, and have one of the greatest tag teams competing and defending that DEFY Tag Team Championship, which they will soon, and you just keep an eye on their social media platforms as you will announce it. Am I correct? You will announce it on your social media platforms.
Yes, sir.
There you go. So you heard it right here, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you guys for joining us once again. To the Rock God right here. That's right. You got to play him an outro, fellas. Come on. Somebody got to play him an outro right here. Come on. I got to hear a freaking outro.
Do it.
I put my guitar.
All right.
Gotcha.
Somebody got to do it.
I'll do it. Let the master play.
All right. Let the master play then. Fine. All right. Go, Mr. Eddie Van.
I'm not plugged in, so I'll do my very best.
You got to be plugged in, bro. We can't hear shit. What's going on?
I've got my
hear
plug
that?
right here.
I can hear it in your eyes.
I've got my plug right here. Hold on.
Oh, come on, man.
That's we were talking about set lists going over time.
That's it. 2 notes.
You're off the band, bro. You're off the band.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I want to thank you. I know you already gave me a thanks, but I really have to give a shout out to you guys. I love anytime that I get to get on a podcast, anytime that you guys get to interview a new person and spread the word. And honestly, we are individual contractors. As professional wrestlers, we make our living. Our livelihood depends on people like you spreading our name. So seriously, thank you so much for taking the time to promote me and have fun while we're at it. So I appreciate all of you.
Definitely, man. I hope we can have you back this time with Eddie. So hopefully
Definitely.
This time. I would love to guys have it. Yeah, well, let's make it happen. You let me know, and we'll do a talking shop this time, and then we'll let the whole world know.
Hell yeah.
All righty, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.